how can you make the biggest impact, make the most money, and then everything else, if they can't buy that, if they can't buy your big thing, then what's the next thing they can buy? And when you kind of flip what most people are doing upside down, people make much faster financial leaps. But most of the time, people don't really understand the value that they can bring to the market.
Welcome to the Clear Brand Academy podcast, where we take the mystery out of marketing and help you get more leads and sales with a clear brand and proven marketing tactics. I'm your host, Josh Ramsey, and today on the show, we have Ann Carden. Ann has got over 40 years of experience in business, marketing, sales, and management. She's coached hundreds and continues to coach hundreds of coaches, consultants, and entrepreneurs in more than 40 different industries. She has built and sold 5 successful businesses and knows what it takes to succeed in all areas of business. Today, she has a passion to help others take the success to higher levels. Thank you so much for being on the show, and what a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much, Josh. The honor is all mine.
Well, you say that, but I think the honor is mine. I mean, 40 years of experience building and selling 5 companies. That is
That
fantastic.
just shows my age. That's all.
Well, I guess it's in the messaging, right? It could be the age. It could be just what a wealth of experience. And I don't think anything teaches like experience. We can get those shortcuts. And I guess that's, I assume, what you do, really. You're helping people shortcut all that experience and help them move forward.
Absolutely.
And so where do you want to go with this? I feel like I'm speaking to someone that can see far further than me. I think any little pointed question I've got is just going to be looking at my feet when you're looking at the horizon. So where do you want to take this conversation?
You know what, Josh? I am here to help. I'm here to make your podcast better and offer all of those years of expertise and value to your audience. So fire away any questions you have. I am an open book.
Okay, cool. Well, what's the first thing that you tell? You get into a coaching call with an entrepreneur or someone that's asked you for help. Yeah, what do you say?
Well, I find out what they need. I mean, there's so many different things that people can come to me for, but ultimately, what are they looking for? What is the result that they're trying to accomplish that they're not accomplishing? And then we have to look at, why is that happening? What's missing? What are the missing pieces that are holding you back?
Are you seeing are there some typical ones where you're like, well, maybe you should just have a look at this, before we get into our next call, go and look at this, go and look at that.
Yeah, a lot of times when so I help people start and turn all of their expertise, their experience, their knowledge into a coaching or consulting business or a professional service business. So that is my main business now. But one of the things that I look at is the revenue model. Typically, if people come to me, they're always thinking they need more clients. Oh, I need more clients. I need more clients. But when I really look at their business model, they have a long grind ahead of them the way it's structured. So one of the things that I help people do is really build a really premium business, because I work with people that really truly have expert skills and knowledge and experience and wisdom. And I help them package, market, and sell that, and then really build a very lucrative business around that. And that can have different levels to it, but what is your highest thing, your biggest value thing that you can offer right now that somebody would pay you $50,000 or $100,000 or $200,000 or $500,000 for? How can we get that out there and package that? And then from there, everything else becomes a downsell. So it's a very different business model from what a lot of people are teaching. But a lot of times people just don't have the right pricing structure, especially in in professional services. They're out there. I've worked with, oh my gosh, so many, even like marketing agencies and people along the way. And they have this great opportunity to build their brand and build their business, but then they're focusing on like the lowest value thing that somebody would just go out and price shop. So I like to say you're putting yourself in the commodity box when you do that. So a good example, I think about, one of my clients, he was selling websites, $3,000, but he had all of these other things that he also sold in his business. He did media packages and yada, 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 logos, you name it, a typical agency. And when I looked at his business, most of the things that he was doing were along the branding side, but he wasn't selling big branding packages. He was trying to sell everything kind of like a one off. I heard somebody say one time a Chinese menu. I thought that was pretty funny. But everything on a menu, right? Just pick what you want. And when I helped him completely restructure his business, he started closing $30,000 clients like clockwork. His business, scale, I mean, he blew it up, and it went to a 500% increase in 1 year. He had to
Wow.
now build a team, and then he had to scale. And that was from going from a $3,000 offer to a $30,000 offer. And then, of course, we fixed his marketing. But he closed his first $30,000 client in 45 days. I mean, we had to get some pieces in place. And once we did that, he hit the ground running, and it just exploded his business. So this is the business model that I typically teach people, or that I do teach people, is how can you make the biggest impact, make the most money, and then everything else, if they can't buy that, if they can't buy your big thing, then what's the next thing they can buy? And when you kind of flip what most people are doing upside down, people make much faster financial leaps. But most of the time, people don't really understand the value that they can bring to the market.
Yeah, they're living on the inside of the can kind of
Yes.
syndrome. It's so interesting how the tiers of businesses, the growth, kind of growth spurts maybe, and how did you know that this guy was kind of pushing into that ceiling and he had all that he needed? He just needed to jump up a tranche or jump up a tier. Are there some signals that you, our listeners out there, can think about, um, that would give them indicators like, oh, I'm actually primed for this. I'm ready.
Yeah, I think, first of all, how can you pull everything that you have together into one huge, big offer? Most people don't think like this. And if you think like that, if you made a list, so again, I work with people that have experience, but most people, if they're any kind of an adult, they've got massive experience in something. Even if you come from a career, you have built up maybe years of career collateral, I like to call it, career
Oh, I
experience.
like that.
And yeah, so when you come from that, what in the world would make you think that you need to sell something very, very low when you've spent years perfecting that expertise, learning, growing? How much money have you invested to learn what you've learned, even to go to college or, get an education? How many books have you read? Those cost money, right? So if you look at all the things people have done, they've always got so much more to offer. They just don't know how to put the pieces together. And really, my sweet spot is I just look at what people have. I mean, you can even see testimonial videos from clients that went from selling, $1,797 program to closing a $40,000 client working with them 2 hours a month. And she'll say, you could have just never told me that I could have sold something like this. Well, it's because they just don't understand their value to the market. And I don't like to
Mm,
say their value, because we are much more valuable than anyone could ever pay us for. But it's your value to the market. And then
yeah.
it's always about the audience. It's always about the audience that you're marketing to, if you're going to get paid bigger bucks, bigger fees. And a lot of people don't think like that. A lot of people, so here's something that I heard yesterday that I thought was really brilliant. And it talked about, I always say you want to work with like the top 5 to 10% in a market. That's where your big dollars are. That's where your big money is. But most people are not. Most people are playing with the bottom percentage, or the 70%, the mainstream. So it's kind of like, the book Blue Ocean, right? Are you playing in the blue ocean? Are you going after the everyone in the shark infested waters? Well, I don't play in that arena. I don't want to be a commodity. I don't want people to have to, think about, okay, well, this person over here is cheaper. I don't play that game. And I teach my clients not to play that game either. It's about package your value, share how the impact that it can have on other people. And when you do that, you can close big deals. You can get big, big clients. So it's just having that understanding, and most people don't. And I just have a way to, I'm just able to pull that out and see their opportunity before they can see it themselves.
Yeah, I'm struck as you're speaking. I'm quite a visual thinker, and I'm thinking of, um, almost like a ship that has an engine room, and there's all these small engines in the room, and they're kind of running around, feeding them fuel, and trying to maintain them all. And you're kind of like, well, hold on, let's take them all apart and build one massive engine, and then hold on, now we
Yes.
can actually race in a much more premium league, and we can get bigger
Ooh, that's
prizes,
good.
and yeah. So yeah, I mean, I love that idea, and yeah, I guess I didn't mean it to, but it ties into the blue ocean metaphor as well. So getting out there, and yeah, so interesting that idea of not valuing yourself. And I what a wonderful distinction to go. This is not about you and your value inherent or your teams, or it's really this market related idea, and this fact that there is this kind of objective market reality, and it has to
Right.
be engaged with. It has to be dealt with. So yeah, how do you read that? How do you go? Actually, I need to get into a different pond, or do you kind of pivot businesses all the way out of even the sector that they're in? Have you had some, or is it just niche, kind of focusing and aligning?
Gosh, that's a great question. It can be both. It really depends. Uh, if someone is, most of the time, I'll be really honest, if they've already had success in a market, they can almost always stay in that market, and then they can work at a higher level in that market. So they start going for the top percentage in that market. So often, if they've this is if they come to me and they've already built a business and they've already got stuff. But if they are not in, sometimes they're not in a market. They're all over the place, right? They're marketing to everyone. And so I have to really get them positioned and streamlined. Okay, where's your biggest opportunity? Some of the things I look at, for example, would be, where did you come from? What was your experience? If we can tap that industry, you've automatically got a leg up on other people, because now you can leverage all of that knowledge that you have in that
Mm,
industry. So it's a much faster path. The other thing, though, is if they are doing a lot of different things, I look at, okay, where have some results been? What have been your biggest results? What are the clients that you loved working with? What were you doing with them? So it is a process of really digging deep with a client and uncovering everything and uncovering that opportunity. And it is so rare that people come to me and they couldn't be doing just far, far, far bigger things. I mean, it's just massive. What they could be making, what they could be selling, and how small they're playing. I'll give you an example of this. I was asked to speak to somebody's Facebook community. There were like, I don't know, 400,000 people in this Facebook community. And I went in and did a presentation. And after I did, someone messaged me, and I was talking about packaging your expertise, take what you're already good at, build a business around that, start with something very, very high, all the same things I teach people. And I had someone reach out to me in Messenger after I did that training. And she said, Ann, where were you 3 years ago? And I said, what are you talking about? And she said, I have gone broke in this industry. I've been trying to sell like a membership course for $97, and I've been trying to build a Facebook group. And she went on and on and on. She said, I've sold my house. I mean, her story
oh
broke
wow.
my heart. It was very sad. And I said, like I say to everyone, what was your background? And she said, I have a PhD in technology. I could have died. I could have died, because that is a perfect example of people falling into the wrong strategies, into
Hmm.
pitfalls and mistakes. And I also went down some of that same path, Josh, and it's really why I wrote my book, Expert in You, because I fell into some of those same traps that people are out there teaching in the coaching and consulting industry. And I actually almost quit my business at one time. I'd invested in a lot of things. Everything I was being taught didn't feel good. Like I was like, I know I can help people more than this. For example, I was taught to sell a 90-day program. Really, 90 days? I mean, building a business takes so much longer than that. I can't build a business for someone in 90 days. And yet I was selling this rinse and repeat thing and I was doing really well with it. But what was happening is people were getting results and then they were going away and they were looking for the next thing because Ann wasn't selling them the next thing, even though I could. So that's a
Mm.
perfect example. I even hired a coach at one time who told me, and I was working with small business owners before I started working with coaches and consultants. But coaches and consultants were coming to me. I was part of an organization and they kept promoting me because I was having this massive success. And I was working with small business owners for a minimum of 12 months. I would not even take them if they weren't willing to work with me for 12 months. Well, I hired a coach when I started working with coaches and consultants. And she said, you'll never get someone to pay you for 12 months. And so that was her belief. And so that belief got transferred to me. And so I created this short little program. But what I saw is they would get these great results. They would implement, they had 8 weeks with me and they would implement what I was teaching them. But then because I wasn't there to keep supporting them, they would go off and they would look for the next thing. Well, what happened with the next coach? They started them back over and got rid of everything I had just helped them do. And so what I saw over and over again was they didn't even keep doing the thing they learned that was actually helping them and working. But they also didn't have the ongoing support to keep growing that and keep making it work in bigger ways. So I was fed up with the industry. I almost quit. And I took a step back and I said, what is wrong here? I've invested a fortune in this industry. What is wrong? Why don't I like this? I love helping people. I love coaching, but I don't like this business. And so I took a step back and I said, I took everything that I'd learned, everything I invested in, and I said, here's the problem. It's everything that I've known for many, many years building businesses. You have to sell high first. You don't sell your low stuff. You sell your best stuff. Everything else is less than. And when I made that shift, it was where my expert in you method came from. And when I did that in my business, like my business quickly exploded. And then when I helped other people apply it to their business, the same thing happened. So I knew I had something there that was different. It's so different from what other people are out there teaching. So different. But it is a model that just works.
Ah, that's awesome.
That was a lot, I know.
No, that was great. That was so great. I'm kind of a caveat that leads into what I'm really curious about. The one is that I think the belief transfer is so interesting, and it happens without us even knowing. When we place someone else higher value, they're the expert, right? So I think there's
Right.
such a really, really interesting metaphor of what you're doing inside business owners, how they think about themselves, and this idea of finding that as expert within themselves. I'm sure you've had experiences with the businesses you work with where there's like a personal transformation as well as a business transformation. I'm really curious about that method. Is there something you can tell us about that, or how we can start to think about this? And of course, the link to where people can find you will be in the show notes. So if you're curious about that, listening right now, and if you're driving, wondering if you're going to know where the link is, don't worry, it is going to be in the show notes, and you can follow up with Ann. But that method that you talk about, what are the broad brushstrokes of that?
Yeah, so I have a 4-step process, and really I work at 2 levels. So let's say someone is coming with an expertise. It could be a CEO coming from corporate. Maybe this is their next phase in their life and they want to become a
Mm.
coach or want to become a consultant. So I look at what all of their expertise was and what industry can they work in, and what lights them up? What do they feel like they could do so easy? This is a great question for people to ask themselves. What can I do so effortless and easy that nobody has to convince me that I can get results or that I can make something happen or that I can deliver something? Because that's typically where to start. Like I know business I have worked with everything from, actually you said over 40. I need to update my thing. It's been over 50 industries that I've worked in. But I've worked with everything from roofing companies to plumbing companies to coaches in multiple different businesses to consultants in multiple different businesses. And always I try to say, what are you so brilliant at? Like, what is it's just effortless for you. You don't even think about it. It's so high value to somebody else, but you're not even giving it a thought because it's so natural to you. That's the first place to start. So, one of the things I have my clients do, especially like if they're in a group program with me, I want you to just sit down and for 15 or 20 minutes get out a piece of paper, and this is something your audience can do. I want you to just brainstorm everything you know you can do well. Every single thing you know you do well, brainstorm. And you will be shocked. I have clients that come up with hundreds of things that they've done. Okay, now I want you to mark off everything you don't like. Just mark it off, get it off your list. And so they start there, and what happens, I keep having them curate that list. Okay, now let's look at where some real value is. What did it take you to learn this? Out of all the things that you picked, what took you the longest to learn? That's almost always going to be your expertise and
Wow.
your brilliance. So that's just a quick little exercise.
Yeah.
But is
Super
that
useful.
helpful?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. No, I'm a busy, trying to stay focused here as I think about my own list, and I'll need to take some time to do that at a later stage. But I love that follow up though. It's what can you do so well that gets, that can, what can you do that you can do for sure. But then the other one is,
Yeah.
what did it take to get that expertise?
Yes.
You know, it
Yeah.
and it makes me think of, I think it was a quote or something about old Elon Musk talking about the fleet data that he's got in all the cars in his autonomous cars that are driving around. It's that fleet advantage. It's that you can't fake experience in the field. You can't buy it.
No.
You can't. There's
Yes.
nothing if you've got that experience. And I saw this. I saw this with a friend of mine who was in corporate, very successful. I'm leaving corporate. I'm gonna go become a consultant. I think it was 6 months, and she was back in corporate, and it because she was struggling with, how do I market, how do I message, how do I offer, all the things that she had
Yes.
departments for all of those things, and now she's a
Yes.
solopreneur. She's got all this. It's like an engine that's stuck in a Mini Cooper. This V12 massive engine that doesn't have the wheels to get traction. So what a wonderful service that you're providing. So that's the first two of a 4-stage process? Are there more in there, or is that a
Yeah,
summary?
so I have a four stage. So the first thing you already hit on it actually. So the first thing is, what are you going to sell? What are you going to build your business around? And if you're in business, if you already are selling, then what I would do is I would look at your revenue model. We might have to redesign your revenue model. So that might mean, for example, pulling a lot of things together that you've been doing through the years that you keep adding and you keep creating and you keep adding services. Like the client I talked about with the $30,000 clients, how can we pull all this together, package it, so now you're only selling yourself one way? You still have
Yeah,
all these things people can buy if they
yeah,
can't buy that, but you're out there selling the highest value thing first and the thing that would be very attractive. Then from there, your marketing is next. So once you have your revenue model figured out, your suite of offers, and how you're going, what you're going to sell, how those things are priced, and even how you take payments is a huge piece of whether or not people can make leaps in their business. And so I also look at the payment structure of how people
oh,
are
I'm
taking
curious
their
about that.
payments.
Yeah.
Yes, I can dive into that a little bit if you want
Oh,
me
I'd
to.
love you to. Yeah, I think
Okay.
it's something that we just assume, well, you just get the payment. Well, what is that? Are we smoke signals? Are we is it a Venmo? Are we sending a
Right.
link? So yeah, let's unpack that. I'm very curious.
Yeah, so part of the reason why a lot of entrepreneurs or coaches and consultants don't get big shots of revenue into their business, or they don't get big cash flow shots, is because of the way they are structuring their services. And so I work with a lot of business coaches, a lot of professional coaches. And one of the things I tell them, so let's just use a $12,000 offer. Let's say you're going to work with a client for 12 months and you're going to charge $12,000. So $1,000 a month, right? Well, that's how most people would break up the payments. Okay, we're going to charge $1,000 a month. Well, I teach a very different model. Let's sell them a big result on the front end that you can charge a lot more for, and sell that big cash injection on the front end, and then you can break up the rest on the back end. When you do this, it gives you big shots of revenue in your business. So my clients, when they bring in a new client, they are bringing in cash, even a mindset coach, $7,500 in cash is her minimum when she signs up a new client. Well, $7,500 is a pretty nice little chunk for just about anybody, right? So she is bringing in a $7,500 client, but then she's keeping them on the back end for, a few $1,000s or whatever that is. So this is the model that I teach people. It's like, don't break it up evenly. Get paid up front for you. Now you have to package in a way that they see the value of that.
Yeah.
But you get that bigger cash injection at the front end, and then you break up the end of it. That's in for a lot of people can make a big difference. But I have clients that their front end offer if you're going to work with me, you're going to pay me $30,000 in cash to start. That is my front end offer. And then here's my back end offer. So when we talk about payments, a couple problems with people's businesses is they don't retain their clients, they're one-off services, which was the frustration that I had when I came into the coaching space. It's like, what? I know I can help these people beyond 8 weeks. Why would I not sell them that? Why would I send them on their way? So I look at all those things. But I also look at how are you taking payments? Is it going to get you growth in your business? Or are you going to stay
Mm-hmm.
cash poor? So that's a
Mm-hmm.
huge piece. So that's the foundation, the revenue model, the foundation. But then we go into the marketing. Did you have any questions around that before I move on?
No, that's great. I just, I guess what I'm thinking of right now is this kind of finding that correct client, right? That has this cash available and they're desperate for a solution, and your high value offer just fits in. And funnily enough, I was thinking of the old call operators that had to plug those calls in to connect calls. And
Mm-hmm.
imagine someone like furiously trying to collect all these little calls to try and keep a conversation alive versus just one big connection of here's this high
Right.
value offer, here's this client that's ready to really invest and will buy in, because then they're committed,
Yeah.
they're fully committed, they're going to show up. I spent a little bit of time in coaching in my 20s, and coaching someone that isn't ready to be coached is just worse
Ugh,
than
it's the
getting,
worst.
oh, it's terrible. So okay, I'm going to play devil's advocate for just a little bit.
Hmm.
Resilience in an uncertain market. What do you say to people that might say, well, I don't want just a few high-paying clients, because what happens if Chat GPT knocks out an industry and I lose those clients? Or I would
Hmm.
rather have tons and tons of clients that are paying me smaller amounts, but then I'm going to be more kind of resilient. Is there any truth in that, or is that
Mm.
is that not
That's
useful?
such a great question. Okay, so here is what I have found. When people have money, money is not an issue for them.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're working in a market where they're not affected by a recession, they're not going to be affected by everything going on. So it's very much a myth that you would think high paying clients wouldn't stick around. And I'm not saying there aren't situations, but here's the thing, when you're targeting people that have money, they have money. They
Mm-hmm.
spend money to save time. They spend money to get results. They invest in themselves, right? So you're not working with the same mindset of people. Josh, if I have to decide whether or not I'm going to pay my electric bill or pay you, who do you think's going to win?
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So when
Yeah,
you're working with a lower value client, and when I say lower value, I am talking strictly money. I'm not talking about the person, so don't
yeah, yeah,
misunderstand. But when you're
absolutely.
working with lower value clients, your business is actually at more risk than when you're working with higher value clients. Now, here's the other thing that
So
you
interesting.
said, and I want to hit on it. You said, well, why, just working with a few clients? I guess my question would be, what do you mean, just working with a few clients? I mean, if you were working with 15 or 20 clients and you were leveraging your business in a way that you could easily handle 15 or 20 clients, you're not going to be at risk, even if you lose one or two. So I'm curious why you set a few at high fees, because typically they take less work. They're
Mm.
less work. A high value client that is paying you money, that can afford to pay you the money that you're asking, they are typically very different people in the way they do things, in the way they manage their time.
Yeah.
Um, and they've already gone through a lot of the struggle stuff, so they actually need less from you. I have actually
Yeah.
found them to be easier clients.
Yeah.
So it's also, see, these are some of the beliefs that are out there that people
Yeah.
have, and I have not found that to be true at all.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. Not necessarily something that I hold to be true. I just wanted to address the polar
Mhm.
opposite of
Sure.
what we were talking about there. Um, so interesting, and really, I really, I just think about what you're saying of people that have hit that level of success where they can afford these high ticket items. Um, they've vetted you. This is what they're good at. They're good at sniffing out a bad apple. And
Mhm.
so if you've made it past that radar and you're an expert and you're standing in that expertise, they're going to expect you to get it done. They're not going to be micromanaging like, "Hey, did you do that? How's the brand?" And, "Oh, I don't think it should be this way and we should change that." Like, "You're the
Mhm.
expert. I'm paying you to do it. I expect it to be done. Great. Let's go
Right.
into the results space straight away."
Well,
So
it's
I think
interesting
that
you say that because you're talking about kind of a done for you service when you do that, right? I'm not ta- I don't teach done for you services. In fact, if people have done for you services, I teach them how to build a company, how to get out of a job, and how to
mhm,
build a business around it, or um, become a trusted advisor or a consultant. So it's about, okay, you've already done that. You already know how to do that. You're really good at that. Now, how can you teach other people how to do it? And you get out of the doing and you start making your money on teaching
mhm,
others. That's where
mhm.
the real money is. It's not about the doing. I mean, you can build a big team and you can do all of that, but I teach a different model. So it's about taking what you have become the expert at, and now how can you teach that to other people, because there's massive value there. And so then your business becomes, you're more the teacher helping other people. Is that making sense?
Yeah, it makes a ton of sense. Well, I'm curious about the transition from doing to teaching. Are there
Mhm.
some common kind of anxiety traps, or what is that? Let go of the one branch and grab the other branch. What does that look like in
Yeah.
some of the clients that you work with, and just to normalize it, because that transition's got to. I mean, that's why you'd get a coach to help you through it, I guess.
Yeah. So here's a really easy way to do it. First of all, make your done for you like super, super high. And so that it's almost your highest thing, so that
Mm-hmm.
it's all, and then you can say, well, I can sell you this, and it's, this is the investment there, and I can get it done for you, or I can teach you or your team how to do it and advise you, and then you'll be building a team, or you'll have experts working for you, because now I've taught them everything I know. So I'll be a strategic partner and a strategic advisor to your business or to your team. It's very much like a coach, right? So you
Yeah.
move yourself into that level of an offer. And then this is the investment. So if there's something you don't really want to sell, put that really, really high, so that if somebody buys it, you're making, 5 times more, right? And then you've got the money to go outsource and get people to do that for you. So that's one way. But your done for you is always going to be, should be higher, the highest offer that you make. And then, because you're getting everything done for them. But,
Yeah.
it's always, you can teach someone to fish or you can give them a fish. Well, done for you services are giving them the fish. But
Yeah.
what if you teach their team, or what if you help them build their own team? There's huge value in that. People make, millions of dollars a year helping other people build a sales team within their company. So there's lots of ways, that all of this can be packaged and put together. But that way you're not letting go of the done for you, so to speak. but you're moving yourself into that advisory role. And once you do that, by the way, people are like, I don't ever want to do this stuff for people again. Like
Yeah.
what they'll do, I have partnerships with people. I have a lot of revenue streams in my business, but guess what? I only do one thing. Like I have one thing that I do, and all of my partnerships, I make revenue because they have become my trusted team. And so if my people need something, I have a partner. So I can still provide all the services they need, but it doesn't mean I'm doing the thing. So there's so many ways to build out a business where your time is leveraged, you can make more money, and you becomes really the head of your business.
Yeah, I think that little piece is such a golden nugget. Just that piece of positioning your done for you as a super high value item. And again, I think again, there's something, there's this, and you've mentioned it twice now in this conversation, is distinguishing personal value, human value to like market related value.
Mm-hmm.
And for someone out there that says, well, I can't charge twice the price for this thing because I don't want to rip people off. And I would assume that's a belief, right?
That's a belief.
And there's the response that comes up to me is, well, somebody else is valuing it at that price. That's how desperately
Mm-hmm.
they need it right now.
Yeah.
Is there another reframe that you have for that belief of like, oh, I can't take people's
I'm
money
just chomping
because
at the
of.
bit to tell you.
Oh, awesome, great. Sorry, I got in your way.
No, 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 it's so funny. No, this comes up a lot. And here's the main thing I'm going to tell you. You never ever ever sell from your own wallet. Ever. Because that is not how people buy. What is, I heard Jim Rohn say, I don't know if you're a Jim Rohn fan. Of course, he's, older and he's passed away, but I remember hearing him say many, many years ago, he's probably one of the first people that I really followed, like in the motivational space. And he said, it's not that it's too expensive, it's that you can't afford to buy it. And I've never forgotten that, ever, because that is really the truth of it. Like everybody doesn't think about money the same way you think about money because you're
Hmm.
thinking about money from your own wallet, from your own bank account. But a company making billions of dollars a year could care less about money. They want results, right? And they want speed. Here's the thing about high value clients, they will invest money to get speed and save time. If you understand that, money becomes no object. Now, the value has to match the price. But I like to teach people, like I work with people that are in corporate and they'll go into corporate companies and I teach them how to do impact pricing. Or even if they're working in businesses, they can do impact pricing. What is the impact that this will have on this client? So, for example, if I told you, Josh, I could help you build $1 million business in a year. Would you buy that for $100,000 if you believed that I could help you build $1 million in a year?
Yeah, for sure.
Right. The value's there, right? If you go into a company and you show them what they need, let's say to fix their sales team, and you say to them, what do you think the impact would be to your company if we did the things we talked about here? And they say, oh my gosh, we could, add $30 million to our business. Okay, could you charge 3 million for that? Absolutely. They're still getting a 10 times return. So it's all about the value you're bringing and the impact it's going to make to that person. And for some people that impact will be greater. And for other people that impact won't be as great, right? So if I have a startup and I say, well, I can help you get to your first $100,000 in the first year, but what I'm teaching you can take you to a 500,000. I could probably charge on the 500,000. Now they may or may not decide to invest the 50K to do that. But even if you price that way, like I know the strategies I'm teaching you can take you to a $500,000. So that's one way that you can do it. But if I say, okay, I can help you get to $100,000, well, what is that realistically going to be worth? What is someone going to pay for that? They might pay 10,000. I mean, 10,000 would make sense. 20,000, even 50 would make sense, but they're not probably in a place to do that. So that's the difference. So the impact, the pricing has to match the person that you're talking to and what the value would be for them.
Yeah. And I'd imagine that as soon as they hit 100,000, they'll go, okay, well, now we got to find
What's
some other
next?
strategy to
That's
get
right.
us to 500,000. So if you've
That's
already
right.
said, okay, cool. And then by the time they're moving towards 2, 3, 400, you can say, listen, I didn't want to kind of scare you in the beginning, but this strategy, it'll actually take you to 10 million. So let's go.
Right.
And then you can
Exactly.
kind of keep walking out with them. And so you yeah, I mean, that's a fantastic model. And so from that 90 day, you went to a year. Are you just, you mentioned the word partners. So are you
Mhm.
working with businesses just year and year and year and growing and moving? Have you found a ceiling to value? I mean, or
Yeah,
to,
so here's the thing. So I've sold 5 businesses. So financially, we're in a good place. And what I do now is really I love it. I want to be paid really, really well for it. It's sort of our kind of our mad money. My husband's retired, so we travel a lot. We have property, we invest, we have a lot of things. So I don't have the same really, and I'm also, I should just say, I'm getting up there in age. So I don't have the same goals as somebody that's 40 years old, right? So what I want in my business is simplicity. I want to make a lot of money with the least amount of effort. Because
hmm
I want to have time to
yeah,
do the things I love to do. And that's
yeah.
also the model that I teach people. How can you make the most money with with minimal effort? So I have a cap on how many one-to-one clients I work with. I have lots of ways I work with clients one-to-one. I can do a VIP day with them and map out their whole game plan. I mean, there's a lot of things that I offer in my business, but I still have a ceiling on how many one-to-one clients I work with. If that's maxed out, I have masterminds that people can go into, and that is my business model. And I'm just now going to start um, doing a kind of a short group course program. And the reason I've done it in the past, but I didn't love it. So I stopped doing it. But now I'm kind of at a place in my business. I'm like, okay, I'm going to probably now create this because this could be something that could be a legacy. This is something that when I decide I don't want to coach clients anymore, don't want to do this anymore, I've got this built out. So I am just now starting to do that, but I'm taking my time because it's not anything that I love to do. Um, and so a lot of people start with that, right? They start with the course, so they start with all that, and I just don't. I started high and worked with clients, but I have a very, very nice business just working with clients in masterminds and one-to-one. I mean, you can build $1 million business with masterminds with $25,000, $50,000 masterminds. You only need 20 clients. I can easily work with 20 clients, especially if half of them are in a group.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, fantastic. It's been an amazing conversation. I think a couple of businesses out there, a couple of marketing professionals or business owners, you're listening to this conversation with Anne, and you're going, "Oh yeah, I'm ready for that. I'm ready for recognizing my expertise. I'm ready for positioning my value, getting all my little engines into one engine, and heading out to that big blue ocean." How do people? Well, firstly, before I say where they can find you, is there anything else that we feel like we left out? Um, I know I've been following you on LinkedIn, and you've got some great content there. Obviously, I maybe we can touch on that.
I know
I'm
we were going
curious
to talk
about.
about LinkedIn. We didn't even get to it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So let's go there. Let's go there. I guess positioning as an expert, that's got to be a no-brainer, right?
Yes. I mean, LinkedIn is, oh my gosh, it is a gold mine. If you want to work in the professional space at all, corporate, even if you want to get to high level people. I just did a post. I'm trying to think now what it was 47%, 47% of millionaires are on LinkedIn. That's pretty significant.
Oh,
Mhm.
I did
And
not know
something like,
that.
yeah, something like 60, let me think here. Gosh, I wish I had it in front of me, Josh, but the statistics are just absolutely crazy. So there's about 110 million people on LinkedIn. The average income is over $100,000. And here's a big one that for people, the buying power is 2 times more than any other platform, than any other social
Wow.
media platform. So the buying power is huge. You can get to people that you never would have been able to get to before. You can there's so many ways to use LinkedIn. I have a lot of, you can go to my YouTube channel. I have lots of things. I think I just released one last week, how to get corporate clients on LinkedIn. Um, But LinkedIn is a phenomenal place because it's a search engine. It is as powerful as a website. So if you optimize your profile with keywords, with your expertise, and you optimize it in the right way, if someone searches your name, your LinkedIn profile will come up right at the top of Google, at the top of Google. And if it's really set up right, it is like a mini website. You can host so much there, your newsletter, like a blog, right? Your newsletter, videos, anything and everything you want people to see can practically be hosted on your LinkedIn profile. And people don't know that. So they're missing, oh my gosh, unbelievable opportunity to tap into the highest value clients, to tap into such an incredible, robust, like platform. People are there to do business. This is the other thing that's so you can tell I get really fired up about LinkedIn, right?
Loving it,
Um,
loving it. Don't stop. Keep it going. This mind
people are
blowing.
there to
Yeah.
do business. It's a business platform. It's the only platform out there that's really for business. And so when you are on LinkedIn, people are there for business. They're there because they want to find referral partners. They're there because they want to get speaking engagements. They're there because they want to build up their podcast and their brand. They're there because they want to buy services. I mean, that's why people are there. They're there because they want to build connections with the right people that can get them in front of the right people. There's so many ways to use LinkedIn. And I can't, like, it almost kills me when I see nothing against Facebook, okay? Nothing against Facebook. I'm on Facebook. But it kills me when I see incredible people playing on Facebook. I mean, I get it that people have built Facebook groups and they've made millions of dollars in Facebook groups. I feel so sorry for them if they ever get shut down. I feel so sorry for them if things change or that platform goes away. I don't even know if
Mm-hmm.
they would know how to build a business anywhere else. So
Mm-hmm.
to me, that's not building a business. It's a strategy. It is a strategy. I'm not saying you can't make a lot of money that way. But when I see like doctors on Facebook in a Facebook group trying to sell a $97 thing, I'm like, what are you doing? I mean, what are you doing? That's craziness, right?
Love it.
So LinkedIn, yeah, I always say LinkedIn is a gold mine. That's kind of my phrase.
Yeah, I mean, just that subtle shift of perspective that your LinkedIn profile, and I assume it's the same for a company page, a company profile. They're
Yes, yeah. Although
both of
you're,
them are like a website. Both of them
it
are like a
is,
website, and I mean,
yeah.
immediately I'm going, well, the bots are crawling around there, getting information for Google, and of
Hmm.
course, with the domain authority that it has, and the way in which it can ratify and check, and who knows what the algorithm is doing, it makes so much sense that you would post all your content there. That you would have all of these keywords working for you, that you would have all of this expertise. So funny, it makes me think of what you said earlier of you're leveraging your expertise, you're leveraging what you've done
Hmm.
already, and what better a place to put it all out there to say, look,
Yeah.
here's the whole career I've had, here's everything that I've done, here's my
Yep.
PhD article, and
And Josh, you can't do that on any other platform. Where
yeah,
else could I go? Here's the other thing. The targeting capabilities on LinkedIn are insane. Insane. I can search a company by revenue on LinkedIn in Sales Navigator. I can go find my ideal perfect clients if I really have an understanding of who those people are. I mean, if I want business owners that, as long as they're on LinkedIn, they have to be on there, right? But if I want entrepreneurs that have been in their business for 6 years, I can specifically target those people. There's no other platform where you can go and look at someone's profile and see how long they've been in business, what were all their businesses before, what was all their experience before, what do they do now, what's the latest video they put out, it's just crazy what you can see on a profile. You can't get that on any other platform. There's not one out there at all.
it's like the happy consensual version of data scraping. I'm just
It
thinking
is.
of people that
Yes.
go and buy these lists, and you kind of black hat,
Yes.
gray hat, finding out. And here we are on LinkedIn, like, this is exactly what I did and
Yeah, for
where I've been and what I
$99 a
think. And
month, you can go scrape your
yeah,
own list.
yeah,
You can go build your own list. I have lots of
yeah.
videos out around how to how to do this and all of that. But I mean, it literally is a really insane platform. And the other thing is because you're working with professionals, people again that
Yeah.
like if you think about Facebook, we business people kind of infiltrated Facebook, right? It's a social platform, social, and we kind of like, brought all of our business stuff to that. But people on
Hey,
LinkedIn are
how you
there to,
doing?
yeah.
Hey, how
I'll
you
tell
doing?
you.
Oh, by the way, do you want to buy this $97 widget?
Right, exactly. So,
Yeah.
so LinkedIn is built for business people. And, if you think about, like I said, the amount of millionaires that are there, and you think about, there's something like, I don't know, I don't want to speak out of turn. I have an article
Well, I'll tell
written
you
with
what,
all
Anne,
these
when
statistics,
this
but
gets posted to LinkedIn, and if you're listening to this and you're not on LinkedIn, just go on LinkedIn, find this post,
follow me.
and
Yeah.
Anne or I or both of us will be answering questions there, putting in a link, anything else. I kind of committed there for you, Anne. Is that all right?
Yeah, it is absolutely fine. I love it.
Okay,
I love it. I'm
amazing.
happy to share anything. Yeah.
That's super, super powerful. The other thing I think is so interesting about LinkedIn is that generally people are kind of on it during business hours and they're using it for sales and but they're on
Hmm.
it, they're going from an email, a professional email, sending out a proposal for $3 million or $3,000 or whatever it is. And then they're going a minute later onto LinkedIn, right? And they've got that mindset of like, is this valuable? They're
Hmm.
looking for opportunities. They're looking for connections. I found it so interesting to see just how responsive people on LinkedIn are. You
Yeah.
send them a message, hey, this is what I do. Could you use it? And it's
As
and
long
it's
as it's done right,
yeah,
as
no,
long
for
as you're not
sure. No, no,
spamming the
no
heck
baits
out of
and no
people.
baits
Yeah.
and switches
Oh, I
and
made a lot of those mistakes where I hired marketers and they spam the heck out of my, and I say years ago, oh my gosh, when I think about what that probably did to my brand. But now, when I message someone, and I do get in people's inboxes, but it's
yeah,
always with value. It's
yeah.
always with something of value. And so they can say yes or no, but I typically get a no, thank you, but I appreciate you reaching out. Well, that shows you that you've got
Mm.
something, you're not spamming people. But there was something I was going to tell you that I thought would be super valuable for your audience. And now it has left my brain. So maybe I'll think of it again. But oh, I know what it was. So here's something that a lot of people don't think about too is LinkedIn has amazing features where they push you out. So most places you don't get as much reach anymore, right? We know that. We saw Facebook. It's almost ridiculous the reach you get on Facebook anymore
It's
because again,
5%, 3%,
yeah,
something like that.
they don't want to give business people any reach. They want you to pay, okay?
Yeah.
But LinkedIn isn't like that. LinkedIn, for example, they have rolled out a lot of new features in the last couple of years. And one of the things that they rolled out is creator mode. And creator mode actually gives you the opportunity to put a little video behind your profile picture. So if people click on your profile picture, you get to give them a message. So that's one thing. They now have added where you can put a link right under your headline where people can just click the link and go to whatever you want to send them to. So some of those things are creator mode. You also can do a newsletter on LinkedIn. And here's the cool thing. LinkedIn pushes that newsletter out for you. I think the first 3 days I put up my very first newsletter. Now I was creating articles on LinkedIn, but when they came out with the newsletter feature, because it was new, they started pushing that out, kind of like Reels. And I think I got like, I don't know, 3,600 subscribers or 2,600 subscribers or something to my newsletter in like 3 days. It was crazy. I didn't even do anything. I just did my newsletter and put it out there. But the other thing that they do is like I do live events. You can set up events on LinkedIn. You can invite 1,000 people a week to your event on LinkedIn. On Facebook, it's only 500, and they have to kind of be in your group or on your page. But on LinkedIn, you can invite 1,000 people as long as you have 1,000 people in your network. You can invite 1,000 people a week to a LinkedIn event. And I mean, they really help you build your business. They help you. They let eyes get on your content. You can see the impressions that your stuff is getting. They give you all the analytics. They give you an SSI score, which is a social selling index score. And if you're in the top, LinkedIn sends me leads. They send me leads to my email because I have a high SSI score. And so when anybody comes up that is a match, they will send me a lead. Oh, hey, Ann, you have a new lead for speaking in your, in this area. And a lot of people
Wow.
just don't, yeah, they don't even get
Yeah.
that. If
News to
someone
me.
connects with me, LinkedIn sends me an email. Hey, so and so just connected with you, or so and so sent you a message, or hey, so and so commented on your video. You can click in my email and I can go message them right back. Like they make it so easy. Why people would not do that? Where do you get that in Facebook? I don't. I use Facebook. There's obviously other,
Yeah, no,
other
it's
platforms,
family
but
and cat videos, and
yeah.
so that SSI score, is that something that is accessible with the Navigator, Sales Navigator, or is it
Yeah.
just okay?
It's Navigator. So, that's a good question. I've had Navigator for so many years. I don't think it is available. Maybe. I don't know. Josh, go search your name and then put SSI LinkedIn, SSI score on LinkedIn and see what comes up. See if
No,
you
listen,
get it.
don't encourage me. I'm already fighting the urge to go and broadcast a newsletter. I got to keep focused here on what you're saying because there's so much value. It continues to be a great conversation. Well, I'm so glad that I didn't transition us to some form of let's start thinking about the wrap up to the show. I mean, that's a whole different topic that I'm so glad we got into with LinkedIn. What else? Anything else you want to mention about LinkedIn or anything else we've missed out? I'm chewing on so much information here.
Well, I could probably talk all day, so you don't want me to do that. But, we were talking about my 4-step program. I don't even think we talked about the last two steps. But
Okay. Well, could you maybe just quickly run back over those
yes.
first two because that was a while back, and then just let's
Yeah.
finish up those two. Thank you for closing the loop on that.
Yeah. So the fourth step is if you're already in an existing business, we redesign your revenue model, we revamp your marketing, we restructure your sales process, and then we rev up your revenue. So that's really my fourth step. If you're in beginning stages, we create your revenue model, we create
Mm-hmm.
your marketing, get you positioned as the expert. We build out a sales process to make it easy for people to buy, and then from there we help you scale. So I mean, it's the same. It's just some people come and we have to kind of redo what they're doing. And then other people are in startup and they've got all this expertise, but they don't know how to put all the pieces together, like your friend that you talked about who went back and got a consulting job. And you have to understand if you're starting a business, you're not just doing your thing. You've got to learn to market. And also as a coach or a consultant, you're building a brand. You're building your own brand. So I have my own brand, but if you can see behind me, my brand is expert in you. Why? Because I take the expert in you and I teach you how to build a really lucrative business around it. So that is where that whole brand came from. But I think that's it for my program. Yeah.
Man, that's awesome. It's been such a great conversation. Really, really awesome to tie that together into something so practical as LinkedIn as well. I mean, such a great positioning tool there. Okay, so Anne, where do we send our listeners to find out more about you, to attend one of those masterminds, get any more value? Your YouTube channel sounds like I got to go check that out too.
Yeah, I've got
But what's the
hundreds
one
of
place that
videos on it.
you want our listeners to head?
Here's the thing. I'm always running a virtual workshop of some kind that is going to help people level up. And so I do have an upcoming workshop, but I always keep it on the same URL. So whatever workshop I am running that is free, I do have an application process always because I want to make sure that whoever attends my workshop, they are in the right place to implement because we do the work in there. And I am typically training some of my clients in that workshop, so it goes into the hub for them. So they get the recordings. Other people do not get the recordings, but I do allow other people to come into the room. And I'm going to be completely transparent. I build my business this way. When people work with me for that few hours or those 3 or 4 or 5 hours, they're convinced then that I am the person that can help them, I get clients. But there's really no sales pitch there. So it's a real workshop, and you can go to expertinyouworkshop.com, and it's infinite. So I will always have some kind of a workshop going on. You can see if it's relevant for you, and if it is, you can apply to attend. So that's really where I would like to send people. Or if they want my help with any of the things we've talked about today, they can just go right ahead and book a call at acarden.com.
Sounds great. I think I'll be first on the list to go check out that virtual workshop. And I love the fact that you do the work in the workshop. It's an actual workshop. It's a
Yeah.
workshop, which is
Yeah.
fantastic.
I mean, as much
Thank
as you can
you.
do in 3 hours, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure,
So,
for sure.
yeah.
Well, thanks so much for the time. It's been a wonderful conversation, and I really look forward to being connected on LinkedIn, following you there. And yes, when this is up, if you're curious about finding more out about LinkedIn specifically, there was some stats on how amazing it is as a buying marketplace. Anne or I will put in some info there and answer questions that pop up under this on LinkedIn. So thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to another episode coming to you very, very soon. Thanks so much, Anne.
Thank you, Josh. It's been my pleasure. Bye, everyone.
Thanks for listening to the Clear Brand Academy podcast, where we take the mystery out of marketing and help you get more leads and sales with a clear brand and proven marketing tactics. If you liked this podcast, please leave a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. If you'd like to outsource your marketing to our team, go to clearbrand.com.